Hello everybody, this is K-Mac. It's been a while since I've done one of these, but I won't linger on that, especially if this is the first one of mine that you're watching. You'll be like, wow, I didn't even know that. My name is K-Mac. I like to draw, and I do these studies as a way of, one, in increasing my skills in Procreate, and just studying the work of other masters who've done inking. I do this because I'd like to draw comics of my own someday, and yeah, this isn't the only thing I do to practice drawing, but it is one thing I like to do. And today I'm working from the work of an early American master, and his name was Franklin Booth. And one of the things that sometimes, like when I listen to these back, I'm like, why did I say that? And oftentimes I feel like what I'll do, gosh, this is tough. This is like his work, like, and you can see it on the side, you can see like the full thing. But his work is, it's not a comic book. So like all the ones of these that I've done before have been comic book artists or you know, sort of comic artists. And this guy's actually, and you know, actually he's more like Nell Brinkley. I did a study on her. I'm hesitating because I'm like, geez, I don't even know how to approach this. Like, I don't even know how to like approach his style. Because like with the other stuff, like, you know, it's like I had at least like some idea of how they might have gone about it. But with this stuff, it's like, oh my gosh, like I don't even know like where to begin with him. But we're gonna try. It's probably not gonna look as much like the actual piece as some of the others, but we're gonna give it a try. Yeah, so I mentioned Nell Brinkley, and the way that he and Nell Brinkley are really similar is that they were commercial illustrators working in the United States in the early turn of the 20th century. So this is like they got their starts in like 1900. And Nell Brinkley worked until, you know, sort of World War II, and I think Franklin Booth sort of kind of did the same thing. I'll go into more detail about like what he actually did with his life, but he was like a tremendously popular illustrator. I mean, he wasn't like Nell Brinkley popular, where like people were like getting haircuts to look like him. Although, I mean, look at him. Look at that picture. He's like a silver fox. He's like Anderson Cooper of like 1910. Oh yeah, and so like one of the things I said like a million years ago was like, why do I say some of the things that I say in these streams? And one of the things that I find myself often doing is like maybe over explaining, you know, sort of like things that Americans would know without explanation. And it's funny because like I was on Reddit today, and someone on Are Too Afraid to Ask was like, why does everyone on the internet assume that everyone else is American? And I'm like, I'm guilty of that. Like I assume that if I'm like on a message board or like I'm on Reddit, I'm like, yeah, it's probably, unless I'm like in a European subreddit or something. I'm like, yeah, it's probably the case that most of the people here like could guess that they're American. And people like were responding to him and being like, well, you know, Reddit was developed in America and 50% of the people on the site are American, so it's probably not unreasonable. It's not an unreasonable deduction. The person on Reddit you might be talking to is an American. It's like a coin flip. Someone else in that thread also was like, oh yeah, I just assume that everyone on the internet is male. I can't really get away with that. If you think my voice sounds masculine, let me know, because that would be a surprise to me. I think my voice sounds pretty feminine. I am, and identify as a woman. Like, yeah, I'm a lady. But anyway, so it's like, I am aware of that. Like, so like that not everyone on the internet is American. Not everyone that might potentially listen to this is American. Joke's on me. No one listens to these. Oh, let me come back to that. In a minute, I want to finish explaining this, but I thought of that again when reading about the life of Franklin Booth, and I was sort of like, wow, this is about like as classic white American male as you can get. Like I feel like you, like if you were gonna like, sorry, this looks a little phallic, but we'll fix it. If you were going to, I don't know, like take a picture of a white American male in, like, you know, sort of like maybe a lower to middle class family in 1900s, like Franklin Booth would be one of the people that you caught in that. So he was from Indiana, which is like also as American as it gets. And you know, sort of like, so he's sort of this Midwest kid, and he grows up working on a farm. And so like he's like on a plow, like a literal plow all day. And he just had like a love of drawing. Like he wanted to draw things. And you know, he and Nell Brinkley have a lot in common in that like they're self-taught. And with Franklin Booth, it's like actually like his style is so interesting. And one of the reasons that like I was sort of like, oh gosh, what brush am I going to use? Is this even going to work? Is that one of the things that happened to him, or that he didn't quite realize when he was learning to draw as a child, is that like all of the illustrations that he was sort of poring over, so like his Mad magazines were a lot different than my Mad magazines, is that he was looking at woodblock engravings when he was a kid, and he didn't realize that, I think, or that's how the legend goes. I don't know. I haven't like read like an autobiography. I haven't written a thesis about like you know, Franklin Booth, but and so that sort of speaks to like why it looks the way it does. Like if you look at it big, you see that it has like those sort of classic elements of woodblock. Like everything is covered, everything is done in straight lines. It's like there's not a lot of curvature or organic lines, and that's because in woodblock, like you have like a little like a little sharp tool, and you're just like carving into the wood, and because of the way that wood like accepts that carving, you can't really get sort of that like curvy line, you know? It's like you can't do that in wood. That's just like, that's not gonna happen. And so it's interesting to see his work and to see like how like the limitation of wood, you know, sort of what that brings to the black and white illustration. And the thing that really attracts me to his work is that he draws so much nature. Like that, I'm really interested in like learning to draw trees better. It's really been a struggle to like, I don't know, to draw a tree that looks real. Or to even draw a tree that looks like a cartoon. I don't know why. It's just like they're so complex. It's like I don't know how to simplify them. I don't know how to like, I don't know. So it's like and he's done so many like sort of just beautiful, beautiful landscapes in black and white, and that's also very appealing to me because like as a someone who aspires to make comic style art, you know, it's like that just being able to do it in black and white is super nice. And so he said that what he would do, like, so he didn't go to school. Like, he didn't go to school for art. And, like, as someone who's also, like, constantly looking at, like, $500 drawing classes online, I'm like, oh, shit, yeah, I guess there's something to that. And he said that what he would do is that he would, like go out and work on the farm and, like push the plow around and, like, just think about drawing. And I'm like, oh, it's that easy? You just push a plow? I also grew up on a farm, and like I have made a lot of choices in my life, like sort of specifically so that I don't have to work on a farm. You know, it's like my career goals are basically like to be able to be inside and do my job and to sit down and do my job, which mission accomplished. It could be like, so he's from Indiana, which maybe the weather was a lot nicer when he was working, but like I'm in the Pacific Northwest, so it's just like if you're on a farm here, you're just outside in the rain like all the time, and it's not pleasant. I don't want to make it sound like I was like some child laborer. Like I didn't work on the farm a ton, like just enough. Like I worked on it just enough to get the flavor of working on a farm. We didn't have animals. The crop that we had was grapes. So I did a lot of like grape work. Like what you do for grapes is you prune the vines and you like cut off dead vines and you pick grapes and you know, it's just there's a lot of stuff like that. Yeah. So I don't work on a farm. Franklin Booth did, and he became one of the master illustrators of the 20th century. So I don't know. Maybe I made a mistake working inside. Like maybe I should have stayed on the tractor. He worked on a 40-acre farm. That's what they said. That's why it's almost like, oh yeah, you can't get any more classic than a 40-acre farm for white America. Like that's like where you are. Yeah, he was the third of 8 kids, also very American. Early 20th century, probably Catholic. I can't be sure. But one thing that I also really like about him that is like, oh yeah, this is like America, is he went to a Quaker high school. And so if you're not from America, so Quakerism is like a British and American variant of Christianity, but it's like, to me, a very pleasant variation. Like they were abolitionists, so they like fought really hard against slavery, and they are teetotalers, so they don't drink, and I don't drink, not because I don't think people should drink, but just because I don't like alcohol. They believe that every person has access to God inside them, and they believe in nonviolence. They don't believe that war is acceptable. So in a lot of the world wars, they were conscientious objectors. But it's not even like they didn't participate, because like in England, they would like run the ambulance corps. They were like, okay, listen, we're not going to fight, but we'll help people who need help. And every time I've like met a Quaker in real life, I've been like, wow, you're really cool. Like that's like a super cool way to like access the spiritual world. And Franklin Booth, as far as I can tell, was not a Quaker. But just like the fact that he went to a Quaker school, which is like guided by Quaker values, that like each child has value, and like I don't know, I'm just like, oh, that's very nice. I hope that like helped him out. That's probably why he was such a cool dude who just liked drawing nature stuff. So eventually he moved out of Indiana, and he started a drawing school, and he lived in New York, and he would come back to Indiana every summer to hang out with he had this poet friend, and they would just like hang out all summer, and like his poet friend also was really famous and also really unschooled. He wrote a poem called Little Orphan Annie, but it's not the other Little Orphan Annie, which is so famous in American culture, but the poem is pretty great. And they're both from Indiana. And like the thing about Indiana is that I feel like Indiana gets a pretty bad, or it can get a pretty bad rap in the United States, like if you compare it to other states. And so like our current vice president, not vice president for much longer, well, I don't know, because like let's count the presidential election over, like when Biden is inaugurated. But so Mike Pence was the governor of Indiana, and he so he like signed into office. He like signed a religious freedom of religious objection, something, where businesses can basically, if their religion says so, they can like, if I'm trying to like say this the nicest way possible, because it was a pretty like, it was a deeply political or politicized measure, and like the responses to it were all politicized, and I don't want to like misrepresent it, but like the idea would be that like so in the best of all possible worlds, what it meant was that if like, and so it would benefit the Quakers. Let's use the Quakers for example. So if you were a Quaker and you owned a bakery, and someone came in and was like, yeah, we want to make a cake that is like like an army recruiter comes in and he's like, yeah, we've got a war going on, and we want to like bake a cake to attract recruits, and we'll give the cake to the recruits if they sign up. And so this religious objection bill was meant to protect the Quaker in that situation, to be like, the Quaker could say, oh, you know, it's against my religious beliefs to go to war. I don't really think I can make this cake for you, but here's the number of like a non-Quaker cake baker. That's not how he's doing that. Those little circles that I'm making, like, that's not right. We're gonna erase those. I wonder if this is like some sort of cross stitch. Like his methods are kind of, they're opaque, or they're a mystery to me. Let's just try something. Yeah. So that's there was a time that Indiana was in the news a lot for that, because sometimes the way that, like, the prompting for that particular American bill, or like, this feels American to me, I can't be sure, but the prompting for that particular bill was that, like, there's been these stories about cake bakeries that have refused to make cakes for same-sex couples. And then the same-sex couples have sued, and the idea is that, like, you could be forced to make a cake for a same-sex couple against your will, and then somehow that's horrible, and you shouldn't have to do that. And, like, the argument that you should have to make the cake is that if you're a public business, you serve the public. So, yeah. And the frustrating part about that is that it happened in my area. One of those cases where the bakery refused to make the cake for the couple, and the couple sued. And the part that's really frustrating about the whole story is that, like, people were really mad that, like, the bakery had to, like, pay restitution to the couple because of the case. And people were like, oh, see how unfair it is, like, and they have to pay them, and, like, it's a violation of religious liberties. And it's like, oh no, you're not reading the whole story. Like, what happened? They have to pay them because they doxed them and, like, told a bunch of people where they live, and you know, it's like, it wasn't about the cake at all at that point. It was about the fact that they were jerks and like harmed them. Like, it was beyond the case, and I don't even think, like, they were in trouble for not baking the cake. So it was just one of those things where it's like, it really felt like political theater when all of that was going on. And we didn't even know that Mike Pence was going to be vice president someday at that point. Like, he hadn't even been selected as vice president at that point. But so anyway, he signs this bill into law, and he also signs a bunch of other stuff into law. And I remember at the time being like, oh man, Indiana, like, that does not sound like a great place to live. And then I found this opinion piece that was from, like, someone in Indiana, and they call themselves the Hoosier State, Hoosier. Hoosiers. There's a famous movie with Gene Hackman. You should probably watch it. So anyway, like, this thing was like, hey, listen, we know that Indiana is getting, like, kind of a lot of press right now for, like, enacting really conservative social policies that seem pretty harmful to marginalized groups. There may have been, like, some sort of, like, yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on, and they were like, but please, this isn't Indiana. Like, Indiana is the home of, like, all of these amazing artists and, like, all this amazing artistry. And it's like, it's easy to forget that when you just have, like, your blinders on. And, like, some really amazing artists, like, are from Indiana, and Franklin Booth is one of them. And, you know, his, like, famous poet friend, and, like, there was, like, a golden age of Indiana poetry where it's like, think about where you live. Would there ever be a golden age of poetry there? It's yeah, so it's like, it's interesting. Like, it's always interesting to, like, be confronted with, like it's easy to villainize a place and be like, oh yeah, everyone here is just a jerk who, like, wants to be mean to gay people. And then you find out where it's like, it's more complicated, and you're like, oh no, I'm the jerk for having assumptions. Yeah, this is interesting. It's like, he's got this, like, the way he uses value and the way he, like, yeah, he's great. He's so good. God, it makes me want to push a plow around. Okay, so going back to Quakers for just, boy, how are we gonna do this? Like, it's just all these, like, little dots. Like, I know it must be, like, lines. Like, it must be. Gosh, this is like Kirihiko Arakaya. I'm like, I can't put this puzzle together. I don't know how it works. just yet. Okay. Hirohiko Arukai. And if I'm pronouncing that wrong, I'm so sorry. His work was also that way a little bit, where I'm like, I'm looking at it and I can't figure out how he did it. Like, I mean, it has to be something easier than what I'm doing, because like, no, like he wouldn't have just sat here and just like carefully saved all these little bubble spots. I don't know if he scraped them out or like what. Like, yeah, I don't know. Oh yeah, okay, so one more thing about the Quakers is that I feel like most people, or a lot of people, are aware of Quakers because of the American brand Quaker Oats. And one of the things about Quaker Oats is that they have this giant Quaker guy, and he's like their mascot, and he just looks bizarre. Like he doesn't like, there's like, he's wearing clothes that you're like, I've never seen anyone who looks like this in life ever. Like, and the only person you ever see that is dressed like that is the Quaker Oats guy, and it's like, so he's like repping for like a long lost fashion, and he has like this like poofy white hair that sort of like that just kind of like sits almost on his shoulders, and there's like two poofs. He doesn't have any bangs, and he has like this kind of like gentle smile, and then he's wearing like a it's I can't even, like, how do I even describe the hat? It has like a domed top and like a rounded brim, and then he's wearing like a really high-necked black jacket. And I'm like, this description of him does, when you look it up, you'd be like, what are you talking about? And then he has like a scarf that is like tied at his throat. It's like a puffy white scarf, and it's like, I went to the grocery store today and I got I was going for oatmeal. I got the generic brand. I'm sorry, it was $1 less. Like, I did contemplate getting the Quaker Oat guy so I could like give a better description of what he looks like, but he's just a strange character in American history and American food mascots. And if you'll indulge me, I'm going to tell you guys a story about what I know about American food mascots, and I'll give you a couple, and you can look them up. So there's Chef Boyardee, there's the Sun-Maid Raisin Lady, there's Aunt Jemima, who, like, rest in peace, she was a casualty of Black Lives Matter. Not casualty, victory? I don't know. Anyway, they were like, we heard what you said, and we're gonna like maybe drop this slightly racist syrup person. And geez, I don't know if we're gonna lose Uncle Ben too, like Uncle Ben's rice. So those are like, so we've got Uncle Ben, Aunt Jemima, Chef Boyardee, the Quaker Oats guy, and the Sun-Maid Raisin Lady. So that's like 5 right there, like 5 food mascots. And I listened to this like crazy article once, sorry, not crazy, bananas article once, that was just talking about like why those food mascots look the way they do, and it's almost like, it almost gives me shivers, like in the way that like, oh my god, corporations have so much money, how can I ever compete with a corporation when they can do this kind of research? But they like did like intensive research to discover like how big they had to be on the box, like the image of the person, and how realistic versus how cartoony the character had to be. And it's like, for them, these are serious questions, because like having Chef Boyardee look 5% more cartoony means like a global loss of $1 million. I'm exaggerating, I have no idea, I should listen to the article again, but yeah, so the Quaker Oat guys is one of those guys that looks realistic but not too realistic, and he's smiling at you, and he's there because he sells oatmeal. This is only tangentially related to Franklin Booth, but thank you for indulging me in this, because it's always been something I think about a lot. I'm like, I can't, I was like, wow, they like to put this level of research into what Chef Boyardee needs to look like to sell more Chef Boyardee. I'm like, I don't have access to like that kind of research in terms of like visual design. Like, I'm never going to be able to like hire a firm to do marketing research to like see how appealing some character is over another. It's like, jeez. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I've had bad oatmeal. Like, the badness doesn't seem to come, like, it's oats. It's not like it's... I'm trying to think of something where they call it, like farm, like farm-grown oats and wild oats are like, not like... Yeah, I can't remember what that was. Where am I going with this? I apologize. I haven't done one in a while, and one of the reasons that I haven't done one is that I was contracting, and I've mentioned that in other videos, but I was contracting for my old job, and towards the end of December, I was like working an 8-hour job and then contracting for like 6 hours a day, and it'd be like, wow, so I have time to contract, eat, and sleep, and that's it. And I did have time for one other thing, and it was like I was practicing my drawing, like actual drawing, and not this kind of practice. Like, this kind of practice is just like, I don't know, this is something else. This is like, I've gotten a lot from this kind of work, but yeah, I was practicing like actual drawing skills, like drawing accuracy, drawing shading, and I'm still practicing those things. I'm working right now a lot on drawing things accurately, like drawing with my hand what my eyes see. And that's always been a struggle for me. And I'm always like, there are people that just like look at it and know, and I'm not one of those people. And so it's like, when I hear Franklin Booth talk, like, oh yeah, I never went to school, and I just pushed a plow all day and thought about drawing. I'm always like, oh, is there something wrong with me that like it's not that easy, that I like need help from like other artists that I have to take, that I pay to take classes? Like, is that is that just like me like not working hard enough? Like, should I just be like thinking about drawing as I walk outside? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if he just had like a natural talent or a natural drive or what. Yeah, I don't know. I'm actually liking this pen a lot more than I thought I would, and I feel kind of bad because I can't remember where I got it. And then when I like look at the pen information, it doesn't say who made it. So it's like, so I'm using this fine liner pen, and you click on the details, and then you go to about this brush, and there's nothing. I'm like, wait, shoot, I know, I probably even paid for this, and I wish I could shout out where I got it. Maybe it'll come back to me. I like all this, I like textured hatches, inking brushes. I'll have to go back and look through my files. But I do like this pen. It has a nice, like, it has the option of thick and thin, and it has kind of a nice, like, gray if you go lighter, which I'm sure is very helpful to you, and you're like, great, I can't even get it because you don't know where you got it. I'm like, sorry. But anyway, so one of the things is that, like, so I didn't do this for, I didn't do these for like a month, and so I came back after, just sort of during Christmas break when I wasn't contracting and I wasn't working, and I saw that like someone had sat and listened to a whole episode. And I was like, oh, that's cool. It's like someone took a chance on it. These streams have like 0 views. And so that someone just sat and listened to the whole thing, it's like, oh yeah, like I have to keep reminding myself that that eventually people find this stuff, and if it's good, this isn't good, by the way. These aren't good. These streams, I'm sorry. Like, thank you for listening if you are listening. I really appreciate you. But yeah, I don't know, it's like, not to get too meta and like talk about YouTubing on YouTube, but there are a lot of great drawing and inking YouTubers out there that really put out like high production value, high quality content, and that's not me. I'm like, that's not, so like, it's like I don't have the energy, I don't have the time, like, and honestly, like, I don't know, yeah. So here's me, half-assing it into the new year. Trying to remember if I had other stuff I wanted to talk about this guy. I think one thing is that I didn't get to look up ahead of time was, like, I think Jimmy Carter was a Quaker. I'm, like, obsessed with the Quaker, like, the tangential Quaker connection of this piece. Gosh, look at how cool that is, like, that he did that. So here, I think I might be able to understand it a little better, because it looks like, oh, gosh, like, I can see the lines. I feel like this is gonna look bad when I'm done, but I don't know if it's just, like, because I'm getting a reproduction of it. Like, I think, like, he was working in the early 1900s. Do you see how I wimped out? I was like, yeah, I can totally do this, and then I didn't do it. Is it any easier on these trees? No, you get the sense of a vertical line. Like, especially here. But, like, how does he get all the little dots? Is he, like, erasing them? Ugh, so he's the master. Maybe I'll work more on these branches, because branches are something that are really troubling, or, like, really hard, or I have struggled with. They're not really hard, I am just struggling. Yeah, one of the things, like, so no one watches these live, which is good, because, like, because I have to use my hands to draw, I couldn't really... It wouldn't be easy for me to moderate a chat, so I'd have to get someone to moderate. And I don't even think there's the option to comment when I'm live. But it's like there are a lot of things I could do to, like, make these videos, like, more appealing to people, and I just don't have the energy. Where it's like I could do better thumbnails, I could put timestamps in the description so people would know when it starts, or, like, when I switch topics. That's not quite right, but we're just gonna go with it. Yeah. So in drawing, some of the things that I've been focusing on are accuracy. Like, I feel like before I can do anything else, I have to be able to accurately draw from reference material. Okay, let me qualify that. So it's like, that's not a requirement of drawing, but I want to draw people, and people, I at least need to know how to draw them accurately before I draw them unaccurately or exaggeratedly. Like, so that's like the struggle that I'm going through. And I read this book called Drawing in a Digital Age, and it's by, I'm gonna butcher the name, it's a professor. He was originally from China. I think he teaches in the US now. Drawing in a Digital Age. And he had this book, and he's like, listen, there's a lot of ways that people are taught drawing that like don't really work. And I was like, oh my god, finally someone said it. Like, I feel like I've taken all of these, like, I took a lot of traditional drawing classes in college. I took, like, when I got my bachelor's degree. And after I got my bachelor's degree, I went to a community college and got an associate's degree in visual communication. So I did it backwards. I did the thing where it's like, I went down a step in, like, the educational prestige level, but I'm like, who cares? It gave me a great career that I really enjoy. And yeah, so that's that. But, like, all the classes I took in those two formats specifically, like, rely on a really, like, traditional method of like, teaching drawing. And so it's like, what happens is that you go into class, and they give you a list of things that you're meant to buy. And the things that you're meant to buy are, like, a variety of pencils and a variety of hardnesses. And then you get a bunch of charcoal, and you get newsprint, and you get regular paper. And so you come to class, and you've spent, like, you know, you could have spent $100 on supplies, maybe more like 50, you know, sort of depending. And so then you spend the term like getting your hands really dirty using charcoal, and you, like, stand at an easel, and you know, maybe draw, like, a big still life. And what they try and teach you, or what they try and taught me, was you know, how to draw without using contour. So that's, like, just using values. So, like, this in some ways could be thought of, I don't know, this like transcends because it's using lines, but it's also using, like, super Maybe if we just kind of like go fast, like maybe that helps. I don't know. This is it's like a puzzle, and I'm like, oh no, why did I try and figure it out on a live stream? But yeah, anyway, so traditional drawing classes usually work that way, and they'll do things like, and I remember doing these where it was like, okay, create a value scale where like everything gradates like evenly from black to white, and then do your shadows and all that, and the thing that I didn't realize when I was a student that I wish I had is that teachers are especially in a college, and especially at a community college, and I know this a lot more because I also taught at a community college after I graduated, is like they have like a list of things that they have to teach you, and they have like a list of skills that they have to present to you. Like if they want to get funding, like they have to like cover XYZ, because like if you want the credits to transfer, they have to say, okay, well, like this is what, like every drawing class is expected, every person who graduates like drawing one is expected to like understand value and contrast and use of these materials, and perhaps like some history of art. And so it's like it's designed to like help you transfer the credit to another school, and it's designed to make sure that everyone is getting like sort of a standardized education. But what it's not doing is like, and what it can't do because there's too many students, is give like individualized support, or like encourage students to like do their own learning. And I kind of got caught in this idea that because I'd taken the class and like I'd gotten the right grade, like that I'd learned it, and because I didn't come out of it with like amazing drawing skills, I just thought, oh, I'm bad at drawing, or I'm just like that's it's like maybe it's something I enjoy, but I'll never like be good at it the way the drawing teacher is, because I took the class and I didn't do well. And as I've gotten older, what I've learned is that that's not true. Like one, the teachers are like teaching what they have to teach, so there's like they can't, I think, even if they wanted to, teach alternate drawing methods, so the one I read, so it's like drawing in a digital age, and so the other thing is that they couldn't like look at my work and like design a plan for me to draw better. Like I was on their schedule, they weren't on my schedule, and that's fine. Like I'm not mad. I just wish I'd understood that, or I'd known how to pursue these things on my own a little bit better. And I think because I'm so interested in drawing, like I do find myself like I feel like I've read every drawing book at the library. I watch drawing videos on YouTube all the time. Like because I'm passionate about it and I want to learn it, I will. Yeah, and so this guy, his name is Wei, W-E-I, Wei something, drawing in the digital age. I don't want to get him wrong, but he's like, some of the things that they teach in traditional drawing classes really aren't that helpful. Like sort of that bit about, there's a bit in drawing classes where you like measure things with your pencil, and he's like, this is actually can be really tough because like every time it's going to change. Like there has to be a better way. And so he presents this model of drawing that uses triangulation, and I found like 3 fringe YouTube videos on it, and I'm like, someone please like make this real, because it seems like it works really well. I'll talk about it some other time, but like on one thing, like just read the book, Drawing in a Digital Age. If you want a link, let me know. Make a comment, and I'll send you. I'll post the link for you. Yeah, so drawing in a digital age, and so like from him, then I'm like, okay, let me seek out like what do other books say? Like how are other people handling this? And I found this guy. He's pretty popular on YouTube, and his name is Dorian Eaton, and he's from Spain, and he teaches at the Barcelona School of Fine Arts, and he has these like. He has this thing about value scales. He's like, hey, so you might have been taught their traditional value scale, but that's not actually how light works. And I'm like, oh, no wonder all my shading looks so bad. Like, it was just like, I don't know. I guess the whole moral of that is like if you want to do something and you failed in the past, like don't give up and or give up. I mean, do, but just like if you relied on other people to teach you how to do it, like maybe just try and see what you can find for yourself, and like what do you want to learn and how do you want to learn it. In the US, another thing that we have is I think, and this is everywhere, has homeschooling. And so homeschooling is like where instead of going to like a traditional K through 12, which would be kindergarten through 12th grade, which is, sort of about 6 to 18, your parents handle your schooling. And you're supposed to meet certain standards when you're a homeschool student, which, that makes sense. Oh boy, this is like, one thing about this drawing is that it's like, I have been going for almost 40 minutes now, or I've been going for 41 minutes, and I've like, have gotten like 1/3 of the trunk of one tree. Like, that's how complex these are. And like if you watch other live streams, I can get much further, but with much less complex information. So I hope you just like me drawing a lot of like sort of abstract lines, which is kind of what you're seeing. Oh, I feel like I was saying something before and I lost it. Okay. K through 12. American school systems. Homeschooling. Yeah, okay. So that's where I was going. So there's like a even more niche like way of doing homeschooling, and it's called unschooling. Which is when you let your kids direct their own learning. And it's like if they're interested in about something, then you help them learn more about it. And I know someone who does it, and her kids are great. I think it really depends on the parents and the family situation and like what they're able to do, whether or not that can be effective, because I think it can go very wrong, but I think it just depends on sort of the parental involvement and all that. But I almost feel like I'm unschooling myself with drawing, where it's like I'm just teaching myself again, and it is hard because I was like, you just want to like take the class and get the grade and like, but it doesn't work like that with drawing. Like, you can't fake it. Well, I don't know, you can in some ways, but it's like either you've drawn it or you haven't. There's no hiding, which is what's so frustrating and also kind of exhilarating, because it's like you can really see what you've done. I mean, please forgive me for putting it that way, but yeah, so it's been exciting for me to like be so interested in drawing. I've been in a writing group for a really long time, and I always I'm always like, no, I hate writing, like I have to write, like it's always so painful to write. And I did a lot of like studying about writing, but there's just something like, I don't know, I'm a visual person, which, I mean, since I went into a career in visual communications, which is probably for the best, it's like there's just something about a picture. Like, I just want to be able to create visuals, and I really enjoy drawing. Like, I'm never like, oh god, I hate drawing, or like, oh no, I have to sit down and draw. Like, the only part of drawing I hate is that I can't draw what I want, how I want it, which just inspires me to keep studying. Like, that's the frustrating part of drawing. I was using the other day like a combination of Dorian Eaton and Way Drawing in Digital Age, that author's methods of accurate drawing, and I just sat and draw for like 2 hours drawing, like trying to match an abstract shape I found, and it was so satisfying. It's like putting together a puzzle, and you can do it while you're watching TV, which is a lot harder to do while you're writing, or it's just like you don't have to put your full brain into it. You only have to put like 75% of your brain into it. Yeah, this is a really long-winded way of saying, hey, I like drawing and I keep trying to get better at it. I guess I could try plowing a field in Indiana in the beautiful sunshine. See if that helps. And if it works, I can like sell farm drawing experiences where I just make people give me their cell phones and do farm work and then pretend. I'd be like, okay, now draw something. People would do it too. Like, on our farm, the vineyard, there were these like, okay, so here's the thing. Drink whatever wine you want. And lots of people drink wine. But lots of rich people also drink wine. And so they would like bring rich people out to the farm and they would like, like work. You can't see me, but I'm doing like, air quotes. They would like, oh my gosh, it's so fantastic to work on the farm. And they'd be working at like 3% of the pace of like the people who did it, you know, all the time. It wasn't even hard work, but I was like, it'll be like that. So the reason I'm saying like, oh, I'm gonna make this art colony where I just make people do hard farm labor, it's because I know people would do it. Like maybe rich city folks would be like, oh yes, it's been so nice to get back to nature. Coming in 2022, K-Max Drawing Academy. Bring your own plow. Sorry, I'm cracking myself up. This isn't even funny. This is why no one listens to these. I need to okay. Calm down, it's not funny. I'm gonna like make an ad for it immediately. Oh boy. You know what's like, I could do this for another 6 hours and I wouldn't even be finished with this tree. Gosh, what a disappointment to only get this far. I mean, it has been really interesting though to like examine his style. Actually, I think this is like kind of close. Maybe because I avoided all the hard things. Like the dotted parts look okay. His work is just so complex. Well, anyway, if you did manage to listen through all of this, thank you very much for listening. I really enjoyed learning about this guy, and yeah, I used to work at a marketing agency, so I'm contractually obligated to say like, comment, and subscribe if you like this content and you can get more of it. But honestly, if you just listen to it, thank you. I've really enjoyed spending this time, and yeah, I'll start posting more of these, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your day.